So here we are at the prayer garden in Jakarta. It's called Depok, which is the specific location in Indonesia. It's currently 1:36 in the morning. This is my final night here. And I've met a lot of Christians around the world who, number one, they are perplexed that I travel all the way to Indonesia to pray, specifically because it is a Muslim country. However, by God's grace, He connected me to a Christian, and that Christian brought me here. And from that time, subsequently, I have traveled to Indonesia 3 or 4 times. And every time I've come, but one time when I was in another island, which was not Bali, but I was there for a presentation on human trafficking, I have always come to the prayer garden. In fact, my experience of Indonesia has been limited to praying, but the Bible does say, seek first the kingdom, and all things shall be added. So in fact, this here is where we have the worship. It is Temple of Solomon. It is the exact size of the Temple of Solomon in the Bible. So what you're seeing right now is actually where individuals will stay, maximum of 2 nights, 3 days. We sleep on the outside, and then up the stairs will be where the worship hall is. And this is where we have 24-hour worship, which I am happy to show you in due course. And then the prayer garden is what we would consider war rooms, if you have seen or heard of the movie War Rooms. And this is where you will find areas to be able to pray and have a quiet time with God without distractions. So you'll not be finding Wi-Fi here. You'll not be finding a power outlet to be able to charge your phone either. So I would just take you inside. And here you see the doors, and then the signage above the doors, and then these pillars. So this is where we have 24-hour worship. And now I'm going to take you to the prayer gardens, aka War Room. So whilst I take you there, I'll share with you the journey about how I first heard about the prayer gardens. I was actually in the Philippines, and my friend blessed me with a book. And in fact, the book that she blessed me with was called War Room. Now, I was staying with a friend. Her family members are Muslim. She was not in town at the time. And she actually said, I can stay with them, but they do not speak English, so I would need to use Google Translate. Her stepmother wanted money from me, and I played dumb and asked her to Google Translate. She didn't want to Google Translate or didn't understand, so instead she said to me that she will take me to market. She said this through sign language. So she takes me to market to try to find somebody to speak English. And I meet a man who's actually Arab. So I had to shortcut just there because there is a guy from someplace in Africa who is praying in a Pentecostal style, which in fact is not allowed. Their specific instructions are to not shout when you pray and to pray at a low volume so as not to disturb others. Anyway, back to my story. As I take you to the kitchen area, the Arab guy starts talking to me, and I explain that I am on a visa run, that I do not have budget to be paying her more money. And he asks me why I'm there, and we have a really nice conversation. So it's a bit dark, but hopefully you'll get a bit of an idea of where we come for lunch, breakfast, if you so choose, and dinner. Alternatively, you can fast. So I do not come for breakfast because I'm vegan and do not want to be eating eggs because I'm allergic, and that's pretty much what the breakfast is. So for the purposes of relative quiet, I'll stay here for the moment and finish my story. As you take a look at this view, and if you maybe pay close attention to the left, you may be able to see some of the war rooms in the prayer garden. So as I was saying, we have a conversation. I explained to him that I'm on a visa run and not in a position to pay more money. Now, I not light under a bushel, city on a hill that cannot be hidden, so I'm very open about my faith. And I happened to be wearing a Team Jesus t-shirt, and a woman kept staring at me. Now, unless you are a handsome single man, I don't want you to look at me. I'm very insecure. So this woman keeps staring at me, and I don't know why. And eventually she spoke to me in English. But I didn't think she spoke English. I didn't engage with her very much, because just because somebody says hello doesn't mean that you can have a full-blown conversation. Quite often in my travel of 52 countries, people have been to, let's say, the local areas or have been amongst foreigners, so to speak. So they have a level of influence, but that may simply be hello, good morning, thank you, very basic. Whereas if you go to certain parts of the world where you have lots of tourists, like in parts of India, they will speak 5, 6, 7 languages, and they're just a street seller, which I find very impressive. Regardless of that, I'm wearing my Jesus t-shirt, not thinking she speaks English, just not for any reason, just not going to start engaging as I've done in the past, and the person doesn't understand what I'm saying. And then she says something about being Christian. I said, I'm Christian, and she said she was going to church, and I said, I want to go with you. So I gave her my host's address. She said she'll pick me up in a few hours. So whilst I'm waiting at my host's address, I'm reading the book War Room. The lady picks me up, takes me to her home. We sit down, we eat some food, and then she takes me in a taxi for a meal at the mall. After we leave the mall, she brings me here to this prayer garden. I was in the worship hall that I just showed you, and I needed the toilet. The air condition was a bit cold for me, and I needed the toilet. So as I'm leaving, a woman from the worship stage comes down, and she follows, and I say that I need a toilet, so she directs me. When I come out of the toilet, she's also come out, and she told me that the Holy Spirit told her to speak to me. We take some photos together, and then after taking photographs, she actually says to me that sorry, so much going on in my head because this guy is praying and worshiping God so loudly, it's a huge distraction, so I apologize about that. She sees on my Facebook page, missionary, the lady from the worship, and she says, you're a missionary? I said, yeah. She said, did you know you can stay here for 3 days? I said, I didn't know that. And so that day, myself and the lady I met at the marketplace went back to my home. I packed my stuff. The woman from the worship hall organized a motorbike taxi for me the next day. And I came back to the church. I moved into the accommodations, and I was able to stay there for my remaining 3 days in the country. For me, that was just a miracle, because where I was staying with my Muslim host, she wanted money from me. I was not in a position to basically be cheated. And so the Lord provided, and I've been coming here ever since. Now, the lady who I met at the marketplace, I don't have her contact information. For all I know, she was some kind of angel. I have no idea, but what a tremendous blessing. So when I was here for 3 days by myself, and I would sit in this lunch hall that I just showed you, and I'd spend my entire time in the lunch hall. And whilst I'd be here, Indonesians would come and sit next to me and speak in English. I was never really alone. And then there's a woman who works in the kitchen. This is the kitchen. She's divorced, in her 40s, and she would talk to me all the time in Indonesian. I have no idea what she was saying, but she was so warm and friendly. Now, the great thing about Indonesia is they have tofu and tempeh, so I was able to get my protein every day, and I like tempeh and tofu, so I was very satisfied with that, because food is one of my favorite hobbies, eating. And so, as I said, I would stay here, and I would read. And I went to the library, which is over here, and I found a book called Prodigal God. And so that is the book that I read by Tim Keller, who recently passed away. That book really, really challenged and convicted me, because it speaks about the prodigal brother. I've had many sermons about the prodigal brother, but none about the prodigal son. Where's my fatted calf? Where's my wedding ring? That was me being single at the time. And I know that myself and other Christians have that self-righteous attitude where we believe because we obey God, we deserve marriage, promotion, job, car, house, children, etc. So reading that book, I didn't finish it, unfortunately, but reading that book, I was definitely challenged by it. And then, as I said, I was sitting here, I don't remember which bench, but the exact same bench, probably the second one. That's probably my favorite kind of spot. And I was sitting at the bench reading War Room. I don't remember whether I was facing forwards or backwards. And what's so amazing, what I'm about to show you is actual war rooms. So imagine I'm in the Philippines. One of my friends gives me a secondhand book. Now, forgive me for saying this, but I don't do secondhand books. This is not what I do. I go to the library, I borrow books, but I do not do secondhand books. So imagine I get a secondhand book. I decide to pack that from the Philippines to Indonesia. Unbeknownst to me, I'm going to end up in a prayer garden where they literally have war rooms It was so overwhelming and a truly amazing and positive experience. I was just like blown away. So now I'm going to take you down to the prayer rooms just before I'm about to go and pray. The time right now is 10 minutes to 2 in the morning. It is my penultimate night here. I'll have to be ready at 9:45 for church. Church is across the road, and church lasts an hour and a half approximately. It is not in English. There is no translation. But by God's grace, having traveled to 52 countries, I've learned about being flexible. So before I conclude this video and take you to the war rooms, I'm just going to show you some of this evening. And then, Lord willing, in the morning, I will make a part 2 video where you'll get to be able to see the war rooms in the day. So this is how it looks at night. As you can see, there is no lighting. And in fact, some of these war rooms have absolutely no light in them whatsoever, which I discovered yesterday. Because for me, my priority is putting God first. The Bible says, seek first the kingdom, and all things shall be added. And so despite my current health conditions, where I have symptoms of tonsillitis, a chesty cough, which is so chesty that in fact it causes me a headache every time I cough, and I do not get headaches. In fact, the last one was 2011. Despite that, I made an effort on my first day and tonight on my second day to make sure that I go and pray. Now, technically, it's not my second day, it's 2 a.m., but that's neither here nor there. The fact is I'm going there before I go to sleep to pray for the duration of my day. I've spent reading books on relationship because before a person gets married, they need to do as much preparation as possible, whether through pre-marriage counseling, through reading the Bible, or simply through reading books by those who have been married before and are able to help you to understand the dynamics of marriage. Pre-marriage counseling is something I think is really valuable and important. It enables us to know and understand our responsibilities in marriage and whether we are indeed making the right decision, because according to the Bible, marriage is for life, not just for Christmas. It's not seasonal. And so in the Bible, there is no divorce, and I take marriage very seriously, which is why I thought it was important prior to the wedding date that has been set for February 2025 to spend 3 days praying, giving the Lord an opportunity to reveal whatever he so choose. Now, I'm not sure if you can observe from here, because I'm at a distance, that the doors of the prayer garden are what I would describe similar to the doors that you will see when you watch cowboy and Indian movies, if you happen to watch that. And so, like I said, for me, it was just so serendipitous to be reading the book War Room, having never watched the movie, and then to come to Indonesia with that book, because when you're at the prayer garden, you can only read Christian books. And so hence why, prior to the date in February 2025 that has been fixed for the wedding, it seemed appropriate to bring books on marriage and books that are relevant, but of most importantly, Christian books. And so when I've come previously, I don't recall what books I bought, but I definitely would have bought material, because this is a place where your focus is on God. The bedrooms do not have plug sockets. There are plug sockets in the worship hall, and that's for them to plug in the piano. But there are no plug sockets. So I wanted to iron my clothes today. I wasn't able to do so. But you know what? The Bible says, come as you are. So I take shower. The water is cold. I use a pillowcase as a towel. I have to be creative. I cannot find my micro towel, and I don't even think I remember that you need to bring a towel here. But for me, hygiene is important. It's a very hot climate here. It's humid. Taking a shower is essential. So took shower, makeshift towel, and then got dressed in crushed clothes. But the main thing is I'm here. The main thing is I'm wearing clean crushed clothes. And tomorrow for church, despite having my iron, again, clean crushed clothes. But it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. It's okay. The Lord accepts us for our heart, not for our outward appearance. And I'm not trying to impress anybody. So I will go to the Lord as I am. So now, as I make my way to pray, I will give you a close-up of the prayer garden, and then I will sign off for now. But as I said, I'm here in Depok. It is the House of Prayer, prayer garden. And here's the signages. I don't know if you can read that. But again, tomorrow I can make another video. And again, apologies about someone not following the rules. And the rule is number 5. Do not shouting, pray with loud voices, which is exactly what he's doing. Hence the distraction. I like to be focused. I'm a lawyer and a perfectionist, so I can only apologize. But now I'm about to go and pray to the best of my ability with the distraction that exists. So hopefully by God's grace, the light switch in here is going to work. Yes, it does. And then you can see exactly what I was describing. The swing doors, like you have for the cowboy Indians. And then this is usually on the chair, but I'm going to presume that somebody was using it for kneeling and praying. But that's where we sit and pray. So tonight, this is where I'm going to sit and pray and then retreat to sleep. Here is an inside view. And then in the morning, head to church. And then before heading back to my next destination, which will be India via Malaysia, then I shall make a video for you to be able to get a full view of the house of worship, I believe it's called, Prayer Garden Depok. So anyway, that's all I have time for. Tune in again when I will share with you part 2 of the Prayer Garden House of Worship. God bless and bye for now.